Yeah, that's right. What is up, folks? Welcome to the High Tech Podcast, where we sing our song for you after it's over. Why? Because it's just that good.
It's in our heads.
It's in our heads. You know what I mean? That's where it is. I'm Josh, one of the hosts of the High Tech Podcast, joined by my co-host, the one, the only, Will Illingworth. Cue the applause, Will, since you're the editor.
Hey!
Clap.
Oh,
I expect joyous applause, like gladiator arena level applause.
I'll have to go look in our sound effects.
I'm sure we've got it. We've got a deep library of sound effects. It's got to be some clapping there. Or just add in the random Halloween sounds that we bought. We bought this like huge pack of sound effects. Listeners, in case you're curious, you can do that. And it was on sale. And it's come in handy. We've used them for several things. But there was like a giant Halloween section. Like there's a lot of like scary noises and like
Spookies.
Horror movie things. Yeah. It's just, I think that's funny.
There's like the classic like steps through a hallway, like there's the slow door open and that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, this is
yeah. I think I used
creepy.
one of those for something. I don't remember what it was for, but I did it for something. Anyway, yes. So High Tech Podcast. Welcome, folks, to another week of high tech hijinks, if you will, where we talk about technology, work, nerddom, learning and development. We're kind of a broad podcast. If it has something to do with tech, we generally will talk about it for the most part. So anyway, welcome to another week of the High Tech Podcast. I'm super excited for this episode. We are about to look at some cool surprise AI things. Will and I keep making this joke, and you guys are not listening. We will stop talking about AI when you stop playing those episodes the most. Like we just had something happen on YouTube that definitely significantly made us feel like that's not the case. So we're going to keep talking about AI on the podcast.
The numbers themselves are mildly embarrassing, so we don't need to use those. But let's just say in a normal week, if we were going to, have X percent, last week's episode, would you say it was like almost 5 times the amount of a normal week 1 listen?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the episode.
Yeah,
We've had some episodes that hit those numbers before.
It popped off.
Yeah,
but this was literally the most listened to episode in the first week of airing of the podcast. So... And it was AI, so if you don't want to listen to this, go away.
Stop playing.
Turn it off.
Stop listening to it, I guess. It's probably just Claude listening to it over and over again. So Claude is just like going and playing our episodes.
It's learning.
Yeah, I know. Before we jump into any more topics, just a reminder, the High Tech Podcast is on the interwebs. You can find us on all socials at High Tech Podcast or at High Tech Pod. You can email us at inbox@hightechpod.us if you'd like to get a hold of us. Let us know what you think. Want to be a guest on the podcast? We've got some guests coming back up. We actually just recently had one drop in an episode this week. If you're listening to this, it's not really this week, but you should go
last week.
What was it last week? This episode's coming out the week after. Yeah. So last week, you should go check out our episode where AI fights our good friend Alex in board games. I would like to just say this one thing. There was a side product we didn't expect to happen out of this. I think we kind of thought AI would win. Spoiler alert on the episode.
Or give a good
run. AI did not win in the episode. And while that's good for humanity, it's not good for Will and I because it just gives Alex a much bigger head. Like he beat a robot. So now he feels like he's John Connor from Terminator, and he's just taking down.
I respect it though. That's how I would feel if I was in his seat.
I guess. We didn't think about that byproduct. I feel like that's a negative side effect we weren't prepared for. Anyway, sorry. So if you want to be a guest on the podcast, hit us up at inbox@hightechpod.us, and a reminder to check out our website, hightechpod.us, where we have episode pages with lots of fun things, episode descriptions, notes, lots of fun stuff. Specifically, a lot of times like episodes like we're doing today, where we end up kind of linking out to resources and articles on what we're talking about. You can go check those out. They will be on the episode page. So, we're gonna jump into a topic, but before we do, Will, just a fun podcast vibe check. How was your week so far? Any fun stories in this week?
Well, any fun stories in this week? See. Yes, but I've just taken to kind of a refreshed approach to work and trying to keep my stress low and doing things that. So.
I'd just like to point out that Will has said that at least 3 times in the past 3 months. Will's refreshed his work several times.
Regularly. But I specifically purchased a book that I literally can't even say the full title on the podcast because
Oh, really?
It's good, and I want to make sure I don't have it wrong. So subtle. All right, yeah, there we go. So this book is titled "The Subtle Art of Not Giving Something," and I will not finish the end of the title.
Oh, what an uplifting message. That's nice.
Well, I read the first 2 chapters today, and I actually am quite thrilled with it because something that's as provocative of a title as this one, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Single, would make you think like, oh, just give up, right? Or quiet quit, or don't give them your all, or you know what I mean? Like there's certain attitudes that might come up with stuff like that. And actually, you know, while the author's addressing that sentiment, the purpose of this book is to help you focus on the single ones you want to give as opposed to the ones that you should not give, right? The subtle art of not giving a single, read between the lines.
Oh, this is getting really hard for you. You've got to say this like a lot of times in the description.
I try not to say anything.
You're doing it really good. You're nailing it right now. You're doing great.
But the thesis so far is to help you find the ones you want to give. And so focusing in on the things to accomplish, because actually, this is actually very, don't let me go another minute beyond what I'm about to say, right? Just keep me tight on this. But this is actually quite a theological premise that he's dealing with. He's suggesting that suffering is acceptable, if not good, and that we should be more aware of suffering so that we can accept it and find greater peace with our experience. Like one of his premises is that we so often get stressed out in work, we struggle with work because we're giving too many things, right? And what he's saying is if you would focus more on the fact that work is going to require many things of you, so accept it. Like find the ways to accept those things that you cannot change. Because if your goal, the thing that you really want to pursue, if that's worth it, then the sacrifices or maybe the suffering you must experience in other spaces is all the more worthwhile. And that's a pretty easy message to swallow, but it's something that I remember in the church and in biblical teachings, right? In our theological studies. So it was actually really interesting because this guy is very adamantly secular, if not humanist, and so he's not coming from that kind of worldview, but the premise is so far very interesting. So that's literally, my week is starting with that.
I'm not against that. I have made jokes at work that there is a healthy caring, that there's some stuff you should not care for.
Things
there are 2 groups of people in my book that annoy me, and it's only 2. No, there's the side that care way too much. Like they're involved in everything. They want to be involved in literally everything, all the things, and every decision is life or death. And then there's the group that cares not at all about anything, and it's basically like I'm not saying Will and I have joked that there are some people we could replace with Claude, but there are some people
we could replace with Claude. For practical purposes. Their personalities are great.
Yes, I have a lot of theological beliefs that tell me that I can't do that. As a person, I just meant more as like a work element. You know what I mean? They're not being a person by the way that they're working. That's basically what. So, hot takes with Will and Josh. Well, that's fun. I appreciate you sharing the book to me offline, off the.
I said that I Discorded him the link so he can see exactly the title. What I will say, I mean, so far 2 chapters. It's not a big book. It's not meant to be a huge thing or anything. But the worst part, and gosh, I get the EBGBs even thinking about it, is the cover. The cover has this texture to it. I ripped it off. As soon as I touched the book, I was like, no, why did you do this?
Is it like my phone case where you guys felt it and thought it was like the devil?
Yeah, dude, I'm getting the heebie-jeebies
I
just
love
thinking
my
about
phone
it.
case.
Yes. No.
If anybody's looking for a great phone case, D brand makes a great phone case, and I have it. But they have like this amazing side texture that just keeps you from dropping your phone. That apparently drives Will and Marissa crazy. Like they can't stand the texture.
It's like nails on the chalkboard. It's,
no. It's like a.
We need to move on.
It's like
I can't stand this.
Massage. It's great. Okay, enough of that. We're here to talk about other things. Surprise, they're gonna be AI related. No, we had to talk about that. Yes. So what was this now? Like probably honestly, we're coming a little late to the game to talk about it on the podcast. Will and I have known about it for a little while, but like about a month ago, right before they dropped GPT-5, OpenAI dropped a new feature called GPT Study Mode. So if anybody's been paying attention close to what's happening with OpenAI and GPT, I think they're making a move into education a little bit. So like I know, for instance, the LMS I work with just announced a huge partnership with OpenAI. There's been a couple other like big education announcements with OpenAI. And so I think they're trying to make a move into it. But they created this mode in GPT called Study Mode. So a quick breakdown of what Study Mode is. We'll give a couple links out to their FAQ and then articles that Will and I were looking at. But essentially, Study Mode is this. I mean, it's a mode of GPT when you turn it on. It's supposed to not just give the answers to things. It's supposed to basically be a study tool or study partner, if you will, tutorish, kind of like what we've talked about with AI tutors, though less intentionally built. Like AI tutors, it's just more of like they ask a question, or they're looking to discuss a topic, and the study mode will try to evaluate their level of expertise and then basically kind of do the Socratic method, like ask questions, guide them towards the answers as opposed to giving them the answers. So it's supposed to encourage critical thinking as opposed to just becoming a crutch and answer the questions for them. I mean, that's basically what I've heard at this point, Will, and my experience with it, playing with it a little bit. You too?
Yeah, my experience so far has been limited. I'm not in the education circles as much, so things like study tools and you know, ChatGPT study, for instance, or tutoring, whatever. Not really in my circles, but I've heard enough to say like, hey, like, and working with AI a lot for my work, something like this makes sense, right? And it actually goes back to some of our background with the AI tools we've talked to, like. You know, unfortunately, I think a tool like Archer isn't around anymore. Archer actually folded. That was something that we had an interview on. It was like a math-based tutoring tool. But one of those things that was happening, right, when folks figured out these LLMs are so powerful is if you put the right parameters on it, like Josh was already saying, you tell it not to give the correct answer, you tell it to ask questions, you give it those kinds of instructions. LLMs, these tools are really good at this stuff. And frankly, ChatGPT is just trying to stay at the front of the market by kicking into the education space here, because all it takes is someone else to use the AI model behind ChatGPT and throw this skin on it and sell it. And people are doing that, right? I think tools like School AI and Magic School AI are probably in that space, right? Where they just kind of put the right instructions and user interface on the front end of what really is just ChatGPT in the background. So by making a tool like this, you know, they keep people in their platform. They're doing so good at marketing themselves that way. Like, what was that thing? I think in India they're selling ChatGPT 5 for like $5 for a year or something, or a month, or it's just like a crazy low price. So they're just doing this kind of stuff to stay relevant. But at the same time, by jumping on a tool like this, they are continuing to explore what these things are capable of doing, because the priority in a study tool is not giving the answer. We do not want a cheating tool. We want a teaching tool. And so they have to get something out that's like that, because it's actually a really interesting study of human experience, right? I'm asking it a question. I'm expecting an answer. But I'm even going to maybe try and fight with it the whole time to get it to give me, to like Josh and I did a couple episodes ago. We fought with AI and tried to get it to give us 1984. Well, it wouldn't do that, but it gave us 2084. So what's to say, you don't have somebody who tries to game this tool to get around the instructions. But that's where they'll continue to make it better and stronger.
I think it's stretching it a bit to say we fought with it to get 1984. We asked one question, it didn't give it to us, and then we re-asked it and got 2084. I'm just giving ourselves more credit than that.
It was a sucker punch. We sucker punched
We
AI.
instantly changed our perspective in the episode and broke it at the same time within 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I think is really good about this, I guess, in that point I was sneaking up to, is like this is going to push the ability of the tool of the LLM behind ChatGPT. At the same time, it's going to push the company OpenAI to continue refining these offerings they're putting out there. I don't know that this is, like in one sense, it makes sense to do this, and there's a big market for it, but it feels to me like a brewery selling Frisbees. I go to a brewery to get a beer. I go to a ChatGPT to ask a question to work on something. I don't necessarily want it to. I'm not looking for ChatGPT to tutor me on something. And if I needed that for a specific task, I would just prompt it to do that for me. But yeah. I know I'm a certain type of user.
I was going to say, I think this is where you're removed from education. So, like, what I've been doing in education lately and looking at it, there's actually a lot to show that students' most common use of GPT is not just like getting it to do something for them. It's actually like asking it to look over something or asking it about topics. It's basically they're using it as an assistant in many ways. Yeah, it's a predominant use case actually among students. There's been some recent studies that have popped out looking at statistics, and I think it's like upwards of like 70 to 80% of students report some kind of usage around that type of use. So to me, it does kind of make sense. I also want to argue, I think it's to use your brewery example. Now, this is going to be tough. I'm going to be honest, because
it's not perfect.
This is not a perfect example, and I'm trying to think how to play with this so it makes sense. Okay, it's like this. Okay, if breweries brewed beer that also made you better at frisbees, like throwing frisbees, okay, and like the frisbee organization was starting to get mad that like people were cheating at frisbees with their beer, so they instead brewed a beer that made the person think, what is frisbee?
Did you ask ChatGPT for this metaphor?
No. This is where this metaphor kind of breaks down, I gotta be honest. I wasn't sure. Like, the issue is it's a big thing in education right now. Like the Guardian article will post.
Absolutely.
I think it's like upwards of like the institution found like 7,000 use cases of academic plagiarism with AI already, right? Wow. Like, so like AI is shaking up education in some good ways, as Will and I have argued on the podcast, but there are academic integrity issues. There are issues with students shortchanging learning by just getting AI to tell them the answers. And some would argue, well, is that an issue because they're just going to have AI? So people are making those same arguments about the internet, but I think it's a little bit more than that. There's been some more recent studies to show, like, MIT did a study on this where, like, how people are using AI, people who had to critically think without AI and people who had to critically think with AI, their brains are using different skills. And while that, as Will and I have argued on past episodes, is not necessarily a problem, we have to talk about what outsourcing is okay. There is still this issue in academics where students, if they outsource the wrong things, are going to shortchange some critical, fundamental skills. That is problematic. So AI has kind of got this to keep using acronyms. AI has kind of got this PR problem. And so what's their solution? They're like, hey, remember that guy Socrates? Like, what if we like made an AI tool that basically just did that? Like those educators like that guy. Why don't we pull him out? But I think there's some value to this, right? Where like it's causing students to actually have to think and learn topics as opposed to just get answers.
Ironically, this feature and this approach touches on so many of the folks we've talked to in the life of the podcast. Like this reminds me of Parlay, right? Parlay built a platform to allow teachers to drive Socratic discussion, and it was functionally driving that ability for a digital context. But now imagine, I can only imagine, Parlay's probably trying to figure out how to use AI themselves to
Oh, I'm sure. I haven't looked into it, but I would almost imagine they have to.
I remember seeing a newsletter in the last couple of weeks, like, hey, all new features. I didn't read the newsletter, but I saw the headline of like, hey, that's what they're trying to do. So it makes sense that this is where things are going. And heck, if I was in that driver's seat, I'd probably want to try this out too.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about is, a brewery stays alive for selling beer, right? A brewery does not stay alive
still leaning into this analogy.
for selling Frisbees. So is ChatGPT going to really lean into this and become an educational tool? Are they going to become ed tech? Is, I guess, the bigger question.
I think
or is this just going to remain this kind of like offshoot of them that kind of works, kind of doesn't? We'll see.
I think this is where your analogy breaks down, because like Microsoft, Google, they're all good examples of this. Their main product was not education, but they made a massive education wing. I think it's a natural move for OpenAI to do that. I mean, we're seeing already big pushes for AI. Institutions are able to get grants now for AI solutions. Based on some recent, however you feel about recent governmental stuff in the U.S. is aside, but that's a byproduct of that right now. Where I think that makes sense, right? They're literally partnering with Canvas. That was what I was kind of alluding to. They are releasing a massive partnership with Canvas, OpenAI, where you can create LLM assignments. Instructors can have admin work helped with by OpenAI. So to me, this feels like a natural kind of if you're going to become the new Google, essentially, then an education branch makes sense, because you're seeing how you can build yourself into the fundamentals there.
We need to buy me a tinfoil hat.
Is a tinfoil hat mode?
Is
a tinfoil hat? Well, we need a theme song for this. It needs to be jingle. Tinfoil hat.
Tinfoil hat. I mean, who doesn't want government money, right? If you can get your private sector product into a space where you're allowed to get government grants and education grants and all this stuff, it makes sense that it probably is going to make them eligible for it. And or if it doesn't make them eligible for grants and work and stuff like that with the government, which I'm not to say that I don't know, they may already have some of that. If they can get purchases out of districts, they're getting government money, right? If districts can take the time to purchase this,
the K-12 Schoology will. This is actually not entirely Tin Hat will. This is K-12 Schoology will. He sees now the route. Will changes his perspective. He's like, you know what? I do see why they'd want to do this, and the answer is simple: money.
Money.
What a surprise! What? This is earth-shattering.
Never heard of this.
No, but they're a non-profit. Okay, sorry, we're getting off track.
I agree with the getting off track, because there's a lot that's happening with this. Okay, we are folks.
We are still
haven't turned us off yet.
Promise. Yeah.
We're gonna actually demonstrate it and touch with play words. We're going to use the tool.
We are going to utilize it.
Thank you. Utilize the most useless verb in. Up there with very, the most useless adjective.
How dare you?
Anyways.
I utilize all the time.
I hate you. I love you so much. We're going to get into the functionality, but this kind of premise stuff, I think, is one of those things that's worth fighting over sometimes. And just, Josh and I are getting, this is why we do the podcast. We can play off of each other and figure some stuff out, think it through, and learn, frankly. That's part of what's happening here. You're seeing us learn live. But if you can take that moment to consider that, is this something that will be available to you for free and is going to be able to support your classrooms long term? Awesome. Or are they going to eventually kind of bait and switch you, spend $5 a year for right now, and then next year it's a $500,000, enterprise solution. We got to be, I think, unfortunately, with the big companies, a little careful about who we sign up with. But for those institutions that already have it, for those students who have it available to them, for those who want to try it out, we're going to put it to the test today to make sure you've got a first peek into what it's capable of doing. Do you have any other questions or thoughts? Do we need to interrogate this a bit more? Should I keep the tinfoil hat on?
Do I have thoughts on whether you need a tinfoil hat because of OpenAI? I have thoughts. but not enough to continue this conversation, I don't think. Okay, so, folks, let's do this. Let's jump in. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here.
Let's get some studying going. Let's put our thinking caps on. Take your tinfoil hats off, and let's do our thinking hats.
Some thinking hats on. Okay, so real quick, ChatGPT, how it works is you go into more, and there's a study and learn. It used to be called study mode, and they literally already changed the title. It's just called study and learn.
Cool.
And if I didn't already have a question in there, I would give some like prompts, like, can you help me with my homework or things like that, right? So Will and I picked 3 serious topics and 3 funny topics. Serious being stuff that people might actually try to learn about. You know what I mean? So so Will and I are both schooled in the School of Theology. One of us maybe uses it more on a daily basis, and but it's fine.
These days.
These days. Christology, it's terminology in theology, and so I'm not gonna say what it means because we're acting like we're stupid students who don't know what it means. So I'm just gonna ask.
Well, and you're still a faculty member, like you said. You're still, so maybe I'm the student here. It's been a while. Why don't I brush up on my ologies, right?
Your ologies, if you will.
Frankly, I really wish you'd gone with angelology because I just love writing angelology because it's like
on angelology right behind me. I don't know where it is. I forget where I have it now.
And angelology to me is the schoology of theology, right? Like no one's ever going to pronounce it correctly because it's the
While we're doing this, let's just have some fun. Okay, so just give me 1 second.
Yep.
Okay, this is where everybody realizes I was wearing basketball shorts this entire time.
I can edit that.
So let's pull out Grudem's systematic theology. Okay.
A heavy hitter. A big heavy hitter. Are you gonna flip to Christology and the definition?
We're gonna flip to Christology and the definition. We're gonna see what we're looking at here. Okay.
So Josh is gonna keep flicking there through the pages. What we'll do in a second is we're gonna hit enter when he's got his situated.
Well, let's just
we'll
do
be
that
able
right
to
now.
test.
Let's hit enter.
We'll be able to test this. Yeah, it is gonna take some time to think, I bet. And it's going to start to prompt me back. So I'm going to need to be able to thinking what I want to do to respond to its response. All right, so you've got it on screen here. I'll do a little read aloud. Great question, ChatGPT says. Let's start simple. Christology is the branch of theology that studies Jesus Christ, who he is, what he did, and what that means for people. The word itself comes from Christos, Greek for Christ or Messiah, and elogy, or L-O-G-Y, logy, from logos, meaning study or word. So Christology literally means the study of Christ. Now, to check your footing, when you hear study of Christ, what part do you think it focuses on more? Jesus' identity or his work? Interesting, GPT.
Okay,
and I'll appreciate, right? We have this background, folks. I hope this is not too offensive. We're just doing this for the test and scientific purpose. But like GPT, that is a legitimate response. I know everything on screen there is good. Now, do you have Grudem's? Can you measure here? Are we on point?
Well, I mean, it's obviously defined Christology fairly well. Studies of Jesus Christ, who he is, what he did, and what that means for people. I would probably attest to that, right? So like I'm gonna look at the person of Christ, the cross, like what happens on the cross, that type of stuff, resurrection and ascension, but also like who Christ is within the Trinity, right? Like these are things I'm going to look at. When I'm talking about Christ, some people will call it like looking at offices of Christ, if you will. And you're looking at it, right? So like this is a decent basic definition. Here's my one thing that I don't know how I feel. Okay, so like,
is it at the end?
Well, no. If it's
okay.
Well, I mean, I have thoughts about that, but that's that's fine. I think it's also just leading us down a question, right? But the thing is, it just gave us the definition. Like, wasn't the point kind of to like navigate us through the answer? Like, you know what I mean? Like in true Socratic method, I get that it's asking like a deeper question to kind of get us to think deeper about it. But like, wouldn't your thoughts be, I wouldn't just give the student the answer. I'd actually ask them to give me what they think it means. You know what I mean? Before I start trying to navigate them down the answer. Does that make sense what I'm getting at?
I agree with you. And in we have two styles of study, right? And what we're trying to study. So, if we are doing studying for a paper, studying for general knowledge, studying for reinforcement, I actually think this is okay. If I was studying for an exam and Christology is an answer on the exam, it just gave me the answer,
literally just
right?
gave me the answer, yeah.
That's the problem. And so one of the things right away here we're seeing, like, this is a study tool, and I think it is helping us study Christology, but what it is doing is providing me answers to things that I may not, I shouldn't have the answer to.
It also didn't ask me what my experience was so far, right? So some of the more...
It didn't level set.
Like, some of the more curated experiences that Will and I have seen level set the learner. Like, they ask, before it even, like, tries to answer the learner, it level sets the learner. Meaning, like, it asks the learner, what do you know? Right? So, like, this might be why, in this scenario, if I was really trying to practice this method as an instructor, I wouldn't tell them the answer. Like, yes, it's a basic definition, and technically their question's kind of level setting afterwards, but it's digging deeper. Now, their next question, the AI's next question, now to check your footing. So that might be what it's trying to do, right? When you hear the study of Christ, what part do you think it focuses on more? Jesus' identity, who he is, or his work, what he did? I think we're gonna play this game. Will's the student. Because this doesn't feel entirely fair for me to deal with this now. So.
I would choose the corrector answer, but do you want us to take the less correct answer, the not correct answer, so we can play that out?
Yeah, let's be a bad student. So for example,
let's go with his work.
The corrector. I mean, the corrector answer to me would be both. It's not which it focuses on more. The person is a little bit more of a focus, but yes, let's go with the wrong answer, which is what he did.
Just work, yeah. Like I agree with you. It would be both, or it'd be more identity, but let's do just his work. Okay. So it's saying on screen, folks, that's a good guess. It does include his work, but Christology actually covers both. Well done, Joshua. Together, these help answer, why does Jesus matter? Want me to show you a quick example of how Christology looks at both parts, identity and work, side by side? Interesting. Give it a yes. I want to let's just give it a chance to play, because I want to see if it's like going to give us a visual, or if it's going to be on text or whatever.
Personally, this feels like a Socratic method if Socrates was kind of asleep, but it's fine.
If Socrates was taking a nap.
This feels like it was programmed by somebody who doesn't actually understand what the Socratic method is.
Identity, work. Okay, so I was curious if it was going to throw like an image at us or a table or something. So I was just on a bulleted list, which is perfectly fine. But one of the things that's happening here is it is still giving us answers, right? It's not really pushing us to study. Now, if I'm taking time to have this conversation as a study tool, I could get with that. Like, hey, I want to have but if my teacher had said, go use ChatGPT's study to study Christology before the exam, this is not what I would want it to do. If I was the teacher, if there was an exam, I wouldn't want it giving these answers out and doing, and how do I know as the teacher that these answers are relevant or appropriate? The teacher doesn't. Like, the teacher cannot, or at least in this context we've said, the teacher cannot put in instructions to guide GPT to give the learner the right kind of instruction, right? This is just flat flat response. So
this is not like, to compare this against examples I've seen actually with their partnering with Canvas, right? Where there's examples where we eventually be able to do stuff like this more intentionally inside Canvas, where instructors can actually see the chats, so they can see what the student responded to. That's a little bit different, right? And I guess you could ask a student to share these chat threads if you wanted, right? And I do think it's interesting, right? Like, it is being Socratic in some ways, right? Like, so it asks a quick check, which, like, I just have to say one thing that's been my feeling about ChatGPT for a little while with emojis. I like emoji use, but like, sometimes GPT feels like the worst kind of our millennial generation, where like they use emojis for everything.
100%.
Where you're like, I didn't need the point in hand. You could have just said, quick check.
Irrelevant.
That's fine. Anyway, Yeah, so Will, I do like that it asks a follow-up question, like gets them thinking.
It's not just providing
it's
information,
not just providing
which is
answers,
good.
It's trying to get them to think deeper
But it
about
is
stuff.
it is still. I would want a study tool to never give an answer necessarily, and maybe
I wouldn't want it to give an answer until the learner gives an answer. Like if the learner gives an answer,
I would want it to validate,
and then it either validates or pushes them down a different path and corrects.
Right.
And in theory, it's doing that in some ways, right? I gave an answer, and it's telling. Well, that was giving me a breakdown, but like I gave an answer, and it told me a response back. So like, in some ways, it is doing that. I don't know. It just feels less intentional. Like it feels
one of the things I'm curious about is we led with a what is this kind of question. I'm curious if we go for like a different, because just looking at time, like we wanted to go through 6 topics. I'm not sure we're gonna get through 6 topics between the serious and the funnies, but if we do like maybe 2 of each or something, we'll see how far we get with all
why don't
of these.
we jump to
I think a how question.
Yeah, do you want to jump to instructional design or English grammar? We can jump to one of those.
Let's do ID. We both have ID background. Okay. So, let's say I'm thinking something like how would an instructional designer write a student a learning outcome or a learning objective?
Well, actually, let's do this. Okay, so I have a homework assignment.
Okay.
Where I have to write a learning objective for my instructional design class. Give me something that they would have to write a learning objective for, right? Like what's a topic or a thing they'd have to do, right?
Linguistics.
They need to learn basic English grammar. Do we want to go with that?
Sure. Yeah. The learner has to learn
basic
English
grammar. Can you write an objective for me?
Cool. This should return a like no, that's not how we work kind of response. That's my opinion of a statement like this.
Okay, so it does say let's shape one together instead of just handing you one. An instructional design.
Okay, the ABCD.
The ABCD
I like
model,
it.
Audience, behavior, condition, degree. Let's build your step-by-step. Since your learner is studying basic English grammar, here's a possible starting point. Audience plus behavior. Give short practice sentences. The learner will be able to identify basic speech, nouns, verbs. Now to complete it, we need the condition, what the support or resources they'll have, and the degree.
This is what I would want it to do. But
support. Okay.
The question we wrote, the question we wrote is actually, I think, what's given us this much information, especially asking it to do the work for us. I am now curious. I think we start a fresh chat and we change how we ask the Christology question to see if it will respond similarly. Like, hey, I have to write a paper about Christology. Can you tell me what it is? Right? I think if we give it that kind of instruction, it will probably return a different style of response. Yep. Are you writing this or more? Okay. So it says, got it. Before we dive in, like we were saying last time, it wants more information. Are you writing this for a theology class or more of a general religion course? Here's a simple starting point. Christology is, and then it's just giving the definition. To make sure this sticks, if you had to explain Christology in one sentence to a friend, how would you put it? So it is still trying to work on it, but it didn't redirect as much as I wanted it to, and it didn't redirect as much as the other question did.
Yeah, let's see here.
This is interesting. Oh, good. So first line, thanks for telling me this. Since it's for a theology course, your paper will probably need to go a bit deeper than just a dictionary definition. A good way to frame it is, now, I don't think this is bad because it is still helping us get our brainstorming together, help us get situated. And frankly, if we're taking a course on theology, our textbook is probably right in front of us that says this stuff too. So
Yeah.
it is putting the ideas of Christology and all this into like how we can begin to think about working on this for a paper. This is good. Answering the question for us in the very first attempt was bad, but this is good. But this again is what I was saying before we started.
I'm gonna be a bad student. I'm just gonna keep asking you to give me the answer and see what happens.
Yeah, do it. This goes back to what we were saying before we started the screen sharing, though, where I was like, the student can still get this thing to give you an answer, even if it's built to give study help. I know a student can get around that and get an answer out of it. So you said I want to focus on both. I want to focus on both answering its question. Can you give me that answer? Its response: good choice. Most theology courses actually expect you to cover both the person and the work of Christ. Here's a way you could frame it in your paper. It gives a sentence on Christ's person. It gives a sentence on Christ's work. So in a nutshell, Christology is the theological study of who Jesus is and what he accomplished. Want me to help you sketch a possible outline for your paper? Okay, so it is still doing a good bit of work here. I'm not sure if I'm happy or sad about this, but let's see what the outline does.
I don't love this. This does not feel like, okay, so like, let's think about me as a student, right? As I'm engaging with this. I could have gotten my definition and an entire outline from study mode. Now, like, again,
with 3 prompts
right now could just choose to not use study mode. Okay. Like that's not like they're not building study mode to be a blocker. But they are saying they're trying to build study mode to be a more educational assistant tool. I don't know. I entirely agree it's doing that. Like, I think it's still doing what GPT does, which is just gives, like, I can do all of this without really having to think myself and just copy and paste the outline. Like, now, the outline may not work because I didn't consider any of the reading or anything I had for the course, but, like, I could just, like, bring this up. Like, if I go, okay, cool, write me an introduction paragraph. Now, it doesn't just write. I will say it is harder. It is not just writing me the introduction paragraph. It's telling me.
But it did give you something.
It did give me something. Here's a draft you could shape in your own words. Right? Like, so like, it's like.
You could use this thing like a crutch to write your entire paper. If it's going to give you that much, you could keep prompting these rabbit holes to get it to pretty much.
Now, where does that become more difficult than just writing the paper is the big question.
Or skipping, like you said, skip study mode, go to GPT and just ask it to write the paper in the first place. Like you don't. This actually slows a student down from cheating. Which is good. I'm not saying that this is a bad tool yet. I don't think that it's not helpful. But again, if you could use it to just cheat, then how is it a study tool?
Yeah, I don't know that I consider it. It
needs stronger parameters to keep it.
Yeah. So
from doing bad stuff.
What I do want to do real quick, because we need to do this, right?
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
Like tanks. We keep talking about tanks. Could ChatGPT finally teach us about tanks?
What do we need to know about tanks? Do we want to know how to drive them?
This is helpful because we don't actually know anything about tanks. So for we really don't know. You know?
I think if we were to put this into an authentic question, it would this is terrifying to say out loud. It would most likely be a military personnel who is asking how to get started learning to drive a tank. Like, I think that's the most authentic question someone could ask. I hate this. This premise is terrifying. That's a big one. No.
Can I ask what's motivating you? Are you studying military history? Playing a simulation game? Thinking about joining the armed forces? Or just curious? That'll help me figure out the right way to guide you, since actually driving a real tank takes years of training. But we can definitely break down how they work and what the driver does. Want me to start with the basics of how tanks move or the history of strategy?
Okay. You need to tell it. You need to tell it I'm actually in the military. I have to drive a tank next week. You need to teach me how to drive a tank.
In the
Because, okay,
military.
while you're writing that, I do love this response. I think it's one of the best responses it's given so far. It stopped hard right away and it said, wait a second. It sounds like something like, let's get to some more specifics here, right? It wants to know if you have a conceptual question. Are you trying to build a game, right? It's got good audience awareness questions there. And yet, we're going to throw it for a loop. Yep, hit it. I am actually in the military, Josh says, and need to learn how to drive a tank next week. Let's see what it does.
I can't give you actual classified procedures for technical manuals or operating tanks. Those are instructions that will come with you directly. But what is helpful before you get in the seat is building a mental model. Think of it like a cross between a truck and a bulldozer. Driver's job, keep the tank moving smoothly so the gunner and commander can do their jobs. Challenges, you'll face limited visibility, periscopes only, handling rough ground. Here's a question to warm you up. When imagining steering, do you think it works like turning a car wheel? Or more like handling construction equipment? Like a skid steer loader or bulldozer?
This is amazing.
Car wheel.
So,
car wheel.
yes,
For
yes,
sure.
Send it. I've driven some construction equipment, and I know it's the other side, but that is amazing.
Instead of a wheel, tanks steer by controlling the tracks. Imagine each track left and right. Okay, yep. So it's actually more closer to a bulldozer. Quick check. If you wanted to spin a tank in place without moving forward, what do you think you'd have to do with the left and right tracks?
Go in opposite directions.
I would turn the wheel.
I'll give you a quick one though with like a front end loader. You do have two bars typically,
yeah.
And if you do this, if you punch forwards quick and then pull backwards, you do a wheelie. That's a lot of fun. Let's see if you can do a wheelie with a tank.
Not quite. Remember, no steering wheel here. To spin in place, you do something push one track forward. That way the tank rotates. Want me to walk you through a simple mental drill? Imagining how to drive straight, turn gently, and pivot. So it feels less alien before you're in the driver's seat.
So we've given it the impossible task, right? If we ask it about math, we ask it about Christology, grammar, like it's going to be able to play with us. Here it's saying it's alluded to three things. One, this is way beyond my capacity. It's like I can't teach you tank driving. Two, it's claiming that there's confidential information. It's not going to tell us the confidential information. And three, it is pointing even in that last response and in two responses ago, it's saying like, this is a physical activity. I can help you do some mental drills. I could give you something to think about. Josh asked it, can you create a tank game for me to practice with? I can't build you a military training simulator. That's good. But we can make a fun, simple practice game.
Here's the idea. You'll have two controls, left track L, right track R. If L equals R, you go straight. If L is greater than R, you turn left. If L was less than R. If L is greater than R, you turn right. If L forward plus R backward, you pivot in place. We could code this into a little browser game where you press your keys to drive the tank around.
Cute.
Please make the browser here.
No.
We're always trying to get there, Will.
Building our tank game. We're calling it high-tech tanks. Trademark.
Creating tank driving sim. I did not know this was going to go this direction, in case anybody was curious. I
didn't know it was capable of this, or that it would try and suggest it either. It's running through.
It didn't suggest it. I asked for a tank game. Let's be...
Sure.
Let's see how much better this does than Claude. I don't know. We've used Claude to try this in the past. I do like to think that somebody somewhere in OpenAI is going to review a chat, of somebody asking how to drive a tank.
Do some quality control.
Yeah,
what the heck were they doing?
Like, what were they doing, right? Or, like, my boss will find this, that's my dream.
Oh. It thought for 47 seconds, so it's telling us that, FYI. And it's giving us code. Wild.
It's generating the code right now. This is crazy. Max speed. What's going to happen, Will, is this is going to be the tank game we made in Claude. Or in, no, not in Claude, in Rosebud, where it forgot to put physics in the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And we just
press
kept,
up.
We just kept going up. Well, this is a lot of code. Hey, look, physics. Physics. Will, it's physics.
Wow. That's good.
It heard me talking about its lack of physics. It got angry. Okay, it looks like nope, still not done. Still just...
Oh, it's still processing the script.
It is still creating the script.
That's amazing. You don't have to test this, but do you know, can we leave this chat for it to continue thinking and start a different chat? Or it's got to finish this.
I've done that plenty of times where it's
cool.
heavy chat and it needs to keep running, so you can just go start another chat while you're doing stuff.
Well, that's good.
That's definitely a thing. Yeah, I've done that a lot.
That's great.
If you do deep think, clearly you're not doing deep thinking AI. If you do deep thinking AI models, it'll take like a while. Like if you give it like a big problem to solve.
My primary AI tool at work doesn't offer I can use one, but the one I prefer using doesn't have a deep think model, which is perfectly fine for me.
I may have just gotten us stuck here for quite a long time while this thing creates this tank game.
That's why I'm thinking we could either pivot to trying something else while it's finishing, or we could we could just keep editing and I'll cut this. You know,
I'm like hopeful that it's almost there. This is educational to real world procedures and safety and tactics belong. Okay, here we go.
There it is.
My game is active.
Wow.
Let's run code.
So this has canvas like Claude does.
Yeah.
Wow.
What is this?
What?
Oh, this is so confusing. Is this what running a real tank is like? Oh, this is very... What are my things? W and S. Okay. I and K. Oh.
So it's giving you...
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, this is very...
So it's forwards, backwards, right? Yeah.
It's tracking the paths of the tank.
This game's already better than the games we've made.
How do I... Okay, that's a break. It doesn't have any shooting... I'm breaking it more because it doesn't like me hitting the space bar. There we go. Okay, so that's a hold. It's a hold break. Okay. What's trail? Oh, you can reset the trail. You can make it disappear. What? Try these drills? It has drills to try?
Well, we told it we wanted to learn how to drive a tank.
I know.
It's giving us a little tank sim. This is great.
This is nuts. Okay, sorry. I take back everything I've said about study mode. No, I'm just joking. That's pretty cool. I gotta admit, that's pretty sweet. I think we end on that note. ChatGPT study mode. We can't get any better than that. That's for sure.
It's doing the work though. That was
interesting. Yeah. So I mean, okay. Overall takeaways would be this. I kind of feel like somebody put a half-thought study mode filter on top of ChatGPT. Like, I don't think it's an actual study mode. I personally, from just using it a little bit, I think I could see some value in using it, right? All I learned right here is if I want to teach people how to do tanks, one, luckily ChatGPT won't teach them, but two, you can create a cool simulator game for people.
Right.
So, but the actual study mode, I don't know. I'm not impressed. I've seen other more pre-built solutions that do actual Socratic method, where it's not just like handing the answers out. This kind of feels like a lackluster version of that, personally.
It's to some of the points we made, if they continue to use this and improve on it and it goes into schools and they get feedback, like, it will get better, but that tool we just played with is not sufficient for true study, and it's not going to prevent learners from cheating. It's just not.
I would agree.
So
I don't think it's going to.
it's a good start. Let's play with it some more. Hopefully, folks, we see some more in the future. But that's it's kind of a B for me. That's not an A plus. That's not a home run right there.
Yeah, no, I'd give it like a C. It maybe got to a B simply because I was able to create. Honestly, that was the best tank game we created. Like that was
quickest.
It was the quickest. That would didn't even take seconds. It was the most cohesive game that's been created by us in AI related to tanks. Oh man. Okay.
All right. Well, that's another episode, folks. We're doing it. More AI, more learning, more testing, more playing. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, a reminder: find us on the socials at High Tech Podcast or at High Tech Pod. That's Instagram and TikTok and Threads and X and blah, 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 blah. So join us on those spaces, like, follow, share. That's all very helpful to us, and do that for all your content creators you follow. All of us appreciate that. If you're interested in coming on the podcast, you have a question, you want to engage with an episode we've previously done, or challenge us, we always love that. Email us at inbox@hightechpod.us, and every single episode has an episode page on our website, which is hightechpod.us. That'll include things like the articles from today, and I don't know if Josh wants to put the game out there or not, but that's the kind of stuff
be up there. Sorry, that's already been removed.
We can't host that anywhere. But y'all can head over there and share those pages with folks. That's the easiest way for them to find our episodes and all of our information. All right, that's a wrap on another week of the High Tech Podcast, empowering minds,
embracing tech.
Cheers.
Buckle up, let's ride.